don't think you're ready.
Governments don't control things. A government can't control the economy without controlling people.
It's Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth.
Well, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. We're glad you're here, right here on the AFR Talk Network. I'm Crane Durham. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. And we are loaded for bear, as always. So let's just jump right in, shall we? Let's. We begin with President Obama asked about the terror threat by Jay Leno in a very hardball interview. I mean, the follow-ups are incredible. I know they're trying to reach another audience with this. Not necessarily the Sunday News Show audience. They're going to reach the Tonight Show audience. Or they're going to play the game. It's not like we've got a lot of things to ask about, Mr. President, considering the fact that we still don't have Benghazi answers. We still don't have answers on the IRS. We still don't have answers on the DOJ and James Rosen. But we do have an attorney general that has perverted justice, to say the least, or at least under law has been accused of perjury by a House Judiciary panel. So the president was asked about the terror threat and specifically Vladimir Putin. Roll it.
It's significant enough that we're taking every precaution. We had already done a lot to bolster embassy security around the world, but especially in the Middle East, North Africa, where the threats tend to be highest. And whenever we see a threat stream that we think is specific enough that we can take some specific precautions within a certain time frame, then we do so. Now, it's a reminder that for all the progress we've made, getting bin Laden, putting al-Qaeda between Afghanistan and Pakistan back on its heels, that this radical, violent extremism is still out there, and we've got to stay on top of it.
Our enemies love when he doesn't name them or their ideology. They know. The Islamofascists know that we've been boxed in by political correctness. And I guess those requests, I want to make this clear. The requests that came for security in Benghazi, what about those? What about the attacks that led up to that? I know who I'll ask. I will ask the co-director of Benghazi 9/11, Buzz Jacobs, about that. He also held a post on the Homeland Security Council, and we'll ask him about the latest threats, including, obviously the 22 embassies closed, and then the 19, and then Yemen, yes, disrupting a terrorist attack. I don't have any information on the plane in Philadelphia, other than the fact that they were holding it on the runway as it came in from Ireland. So that's what I know right now. I'll give you updates as we go. He was also asked about Vladimir Putin, President Obama, last night on the Tonight Show. And interestingly enough, he says, hey, look, we've worked together on a number of things, supply lanes for Afghanistan and working with the Zarnoff brothers and dealing with that and getting some help there. And, Snowden, not so much. So here is the president saying hey, we can work together, no doubt. This is before he announced that he canceled his meeting. Roll it.
So there's still a lot of business that we can do with them, but there have been times where they slip back into Cold War thinking and a Cold War mentality. And what I consistently say to them and what I say to President Putin is that's the past. And we've got to think about the future, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to cooperate more effectively than we do.
Okay. This man is a brutal dictator. He has a body count. He arrests members of the opposition or the opposition member. He kills journalists. At the bottom of the hour, we're going to take a look at the willful blindness of President Obama when it comes to not only the economy, but also our national security and how it is impacting each and every one of us and our allies. We'll get to that. President Obama was also in Arizona giving a plug for his housing plan, his new housing plan. He's had 3 housing plans. They've all failed. In fact, reviews of those plans, the people who are reviewing the plan are saying, okay, how it actually hurt the problem, made things worse. So the president in Arizona had this to say about the housing market and how to get it back on track. Roll it.
First, private capital should take a bigger role in the mortgage market. I know that sounds confusing to folks who call me a socialist. I think I saw some posters there on the way in. But I actually believe in the free market, and just like the health care law that we put in place, Obamacare, which by the way, if you don't have health insurance or you're buying it at exorbitant rates on the individual market, starting on October 1st, you can join a marketplace and be part of a pool that gives you much lower premiums, saves you a lot of money. But
Kaiser Foundation found out premiums went up 30%. And that's a far cry from the cut of $2,500 that the president promised when it comes to insurance. The president says he believes in the free market, and he'll always pay lip service to it, but he'll caveat it with the idea of we've got to make sure that people get a fair shake and have access to affordable housing. So I guess we'll know them by their fruits, right? We'll judge them that way and judge their programs in that sense. I don't see much that tells me the president's into freedom. Now, you may agree or disagree with me on a lot of things. You may say, oh, you just don't like the president. No, I'm saying, tell me how much freedom is in the president's policies. It's not about freedom. It's about control, centrally planned, and guarantees. President continued. Roll it.
I want to make sure that in America, it doesn't matter what you look like, where you come from, who you love, you should be able to make it when you try. When more people buy homes and play by the rules, home values go up for everybody. And according to one recent study, the average homeowner has already seen the value of their home boosted by thousands of dollars just because of immigration. And the good news is, with the help of your senators, John McCain and Jeff Flake, the Senate has already passed a bipartisan immigration bill. It's got the support of CEOs and labor and law enforcement. This could help home ownership here. So if we help more Americans refinance their homes, if we help qualified families get a mortgage, we reform our immigration system, we rebuild the hardest hit communities, we make sure that folks have a decent place to rent if they're not yet able to buy, all these steps will give more middle-class families the chance to either buy their own home now or eventually buy their own home.
If they're qualified, why do they need help? How on earth is bringing in unskilled, uneducated workers that we've already seen disproportionately end up on one or more state or federal programs, and you're telling me that's going to help the housing? Oh, business is interested. Well, they're interested in cheap labor. Oh, unions are interested. They're interested in growing their roles, and they know the cycle of money. Money goes from the government to the people, back to the unions, back to the government, and specifically to the left. It doesn't take a rip in Einstein. This is the president selling. We're taking a big magnifying glass, and you really don't need one to see a lot of BS, Bunny Stew. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. On the flip side, Dan the Man Celia, AFR Talk.